I get emotional thinking about West Virginia. I was really lucky, raised in Morgantown, and we had a home with the backboard on the garage right above it there, and I would go out till dark and play, and one on none. And I was always West Virginia. We were always playing Pitt. We always had the last second, and I always made it. And if I didn't, I was fouled. And if I wasn't fouled, we'd call it a timeout before I shot. And we always wound up beating Pitt. And that was the way it was going to be. My mother and I, we had about a year-long fight over where I was going to go to college. I loved West Virginia, I loved sports, and I loved listening to Jack Fleming call West Virginia basketball and football. So from the time I was just a little kid, I said, man, when I grow up, I want to be Jack Fleming.
The win tonight over the Citadel makes North Carolina's overall record 18-3, including their last 16 straight.
The first professional opportunity I had was at WWVU-TV, and I was anchoring full-time. So I had basically a full-time job my spring semester. So I graduated Saturday and started work full-time on Monday. And I was there for a year, very grateful for that experience. I started a job in Beaumont, Texas, and worked with an extremely successful television station. We're flying and staying in nice hotels, and it was heady stuff until the day I got fired. And I was so naive, I didn't even know I was being fired. I thought, how am I going to work here without a contract? That's going to be such an odd experience. I applied to all kinds of jobs, and there was one in Charleston, South Carolina. I'd worked in Charleston about 3.5 years, and the same company owned a station in Tulsa. They called me and said, we'd like you to come out and interview for this job. So I took the job. Went from Tulsa to Fox in LA. Loved that. That was my network experience. And then had enough. It was 20 plus years. Travel was crazy. So I got in the news anchoring back in Tulsa. Very, very lucky. Charity game. I mean, imagine that, riding donkeys around the high school gym. The things you did for television. So I did a series, a 4-part series on the scourge of meth in Oklahoma, and won an Emmy for it. I started saving tapes of all the meth busts. I went in after about 6 months and dumped them on my news director's desk and said, we got a problem here in this state. And the fact that I could do that after all my years of sports, have it transfer over to news and do something serious, you know, that was probably the thing that I'm most proud of in my broadcast career. I've loved every job I had in my life. I learned a little something from everything. In little pieces of life, or whether you're up lecturing at church or hitting the golf shot or whatever, it's live, there aren't any do-overs, and so you just do your best to make it count. And journalism, that live television experience, had really a huge impact on how I approach my life. For the past 10 years, I was part-time in it with the PGA Tour, calling golf on ESPN Plus, and it's all dessert at this point. People come in from all over the world. The red jacket is part of the player's deal. I didn't pick the color out myself. I like blue a little bit more, but you're still telling stories. You know, you're right back to where you were when I was 19, 20 years old at WWVU TV, still telling stories. Yeah, I love the school, and I love being a journalism school graduate. To be honored like this is, to me, almost unbelievable. I'm deeply humbled, I really am. I was just a little kid in a driveway shooting baskets and beating Pitt at the buzzer. You know, I never thought, never dreamed of having any kind of accomplishment that somebody else might deem worthy of some recognition, right? So to have that happen, it's like, man, that's like almost heaven.